thank you very much, everyone, for coming that is here and who might see this later. We have got some apologies, at least one. We were pretty impressed by his apology. Dave Douglas, who usually comes into our network meetings from the GMB, has apologised, but he was rather excited, I think, on why he's apologised, because he's gone to the Climate Jobs Summit in New York. Which, you know, we thought was a decent enough reason to go, and we thought that he could, so I have asked him, so that for our next meeting we'll make sure that Dave can attend, and then I thought he might provide some input into the next meeting, and he can tell us all about it and what this climate jobs work that he's been doing, you know, which is internationally and things, is all about. So it is exciting that he's not able to attend on this, because he'll have something very relevant to report back. Thank you, Councillor Merritt is with us, Dave Merritt is with us as well, and now Jenny, so nice to see you all. I have been asked, do we need to go around? I'm going to be asking everyone. We've got for rubbish on Teams. Find the chat. Do you? I did think we ought to have a. We thought for an agenda today that we'll do a bit from Stuart, then a bit about exchanging ideas and updates that people might have. So perhaps we'll go around on that spell of time, if that's okay, and we can introduce ourselves and then say anything that's coming up. Oh, let's do it now, and then we'll think about how we can best support each other going forward, and the wider movement, and think about any upcoming events we've got planned. One particular upcoming event we've got planned at the regional TUC, and then on to date for the next meeting. So shall we just do quick names through? I'm Catherine Porritt. I am in the NEU, and the Stuarts and I know each other through the Eco Educators Network. Joe, do you want to say?
Oh yeah, I'm unmuted already. Hi everyone, I'm Jo Cutter and I work at the University of Leeds, and I am a Unite rep on the branch there. I'm actually the Equalities rep there, and also do research on so-called just transitions, sort of worker just transitions. So I'm in industrial relations, sort of academic, if that's such a thing, and I've been doing work on green transitions for a few years.
Excellent. We know Sam. Shall we leave Sam? Is that okay, Sam? As we said something, unless you want to say any more.
Well, we do know Sam, I think, but yeah, just say hi and thanks all for coming, and especially to Stuart, hi, for joining as our speaker today. Really appreciate it.
And then Ali, who I was hoping she was going to come in at some point soon, I'm sure. Steve Krebs, do you want to say?
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed, Catherine. Good evening, everybody. I'm Steve Krebs. I'm the branch secretary of Unite the Union Yorkshire Ambulance Service branch. I'm a paramedic. I'm also the environmental rep and the equality rep as well.
Thank you. Either Stuart. Do you want to go first, Stuart Strathdee?
Hi. So I'm the sustainability lead at Large Sixth Form College in Huddersfield. I also teach chemistry, so it's to the 16 to 18 sector. Yeah,
and he's going to be saying loads and about the fabulous stuff he's doing in the next bit. And then Stuart Bozeman.
Hi everybody, I'm an NEU member, delegate to Wakefield Trades Council, chair of Just Transition Wakefield, which is really why I am here in this forum, and as it happens also now chair of the Wakefield District Net Zero Partnership, which has similar aims, but perhaps a bit more specific than this group, and Just Transition Wakefield.
Right, and then Jenny.
Hi, I'm Jenny Patient. I'm based in Sheffield. I'm in the not-for-profit sector branch of Unite and on the Trades Council in Sheffield, and currently rather without employment, doing lots of community organising things. Previously,
all good. Dave Merritt.
Yep, I'm a TSSA member, North East General Branch in York, but it does cover a very wide area beyond, and delegate to the York and District Trades Union Council. Plus I hold other hats, such as being a local councillor.
Excellent. And then Lee. We're just saying something about ourselves, you know. Thanks very much.
Yes. Sorry, I was late. Teams is rubbish and it wouldn't let me sign in for ages. Anyway, I'm a postdoc at Teesside University. I'm in the UCU as the Green Rep. Appointed about 6 months ago, I think. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. And it's good that we've got people from across the region and in different places, you know, sort of. So thank you very much for coming. So I asked Stuart at Strathdee, who's done loads of work at Greenhead, if he could just say some of the things. I'm always amazed by when he comes into our meetings and tells us some of the things that you're doing. So shall I pass over to you to tell us some of your work as sustainability lead or leading on green issues as you do at Greenhead? Thank you very much indeed, Stuart.
Thanks very much, Catherine. So I should say it's personal views rather than the college view on that I'm going to say this evening. So I'll update you on some of the things we've been doing more recently. So I would say, so background, it's a large sixth form college. We have 2,800 students, and it's quite focused on STEM subjects. There's 1,000 people studying chemistry in the college. And a similar number doing maths and biology, but we do the whole range of subjects as, you know, arts and humanities as well. So I would say that the situation in college is that you know, most of our students, 80% plus, go on to higher education. So, you know, it is very focused on progression to HE. But I would say that you know, that there's a growing awareness of the challenges of graduate employment. I mean, perhaps just anecdotally, but and also, you know, concern amongst students about the cost of going on to HE. So so what I've been trying to do in the careers sector really is highlight the opportunities in the green sector. I mean, it's, you know, the data suggests that you know, that's one area of the economy that is growing very quickly in our area when others are contracting. So the things we've been doing, I've put a lot of effort over the last couple of years into introducing carbon literacy training for staff and students. We've now trained 140 people, and we've just gained the Carbon Literate Educator Bronze accreditation. So there's only 20 something institutions that have got that in the country. I mean, we're following in the wake of Barnsley College, which has now got its gold accreditation. They've trained 1,000 people, I think. But you know, we've made a start at Greenhead anyway, and as I say, we've trained staff and students, and that includes all the senior leadership of the college, which has had a really big impact. You know, the finance director, the estates and operations director, and the principal have all done the training now, and it has some, you know, it has changed what we're doing. It's sustainability is now one of the 6 priorities of the college, and they've completely rewritten the operational plan to sort of put sustainability at its heart. So that's all really good progress. So as I say, we're trying to highlight the opportunities in the green sector. So the careers information, advice and guidance. So there's done much more work more recently highlighting apprenticeships and green sector opportunities. I mean, I would say that the A-level curriculum is quite outdated, and it's you know, it's the government DfE did its curriculum and assessment review, which they published in the autumn, and you know, while it was really encouraging that that they've highlighted the importance of sustainability and getting out into nature in the enrichment program, it is disappointing what they're saying about A-levels and GCSEs. I think they're, you know, they view it as making small changes and changes in sequencing rather than making fundamental changes, which a lot of people think are needed. So careers is, you know, my colleagues who work in careers have done a lot to try and highlight opportunities, and there are more apprenticeships coming through, which we're telling the students about. I mean, under the skills agenda, there's an onus on subject teachers to establish links with industry and business, and you know, we are trying to do that, but that's really quite challenging for colleagues who, you know, their primary job is to teach the A levels, and it takes a, you know, I've been lucky enough to, I'm now paid a day a week to do the sustainability work, and it's really paying off now. I've been doing this for, you know, well, 2 or 3 years, and you know, I've managed to build up relationships with people, and we're building partnerships, but it's hard for teachers who are, you know, teaching a subject to go out and find people in their sector to make links. One area in which it's easier to do more stuff is in our enrichment program. So as well as studying 3 subjects, all the students do at least an hour a week of enrichment, and you know, I've been very insistent that we try and embed sustainability right across the curriculum. So it's not just, you know, the government has this focus on STEM and geography, but you know, I've encouraged our arts colleagues and the, you know, you know, all across the different subjects to try and find ways in which they can incorporate sustainability in what they do. So we've you know, we've had people in to do plays about climate resilience. So Sam and Jenny, you'll know Steve Scott Bottoms from University of Manchester. He's visited the college on a couple of occasions to do his production. So that was really great for the English and theatre and film studies students. So, you know, I'm always trying to find, and we've had you know, people in for computer studies. We've had the digital lead from the NHS came in to talk to them. So and you know, Spanish, when I mean, it's going back a few years now, but when the walkers came from Spain to go to the COP conference, I mean, Catherine was involved in that. So when they visited Wakefield, we sent a group of students over to help translate for the afternoon. So, you know, I'm always looking for opportunities for people to do stuff. The other big thing I've been working on this year is to build partnerships with local organisations and give the students opportunities to gain some experience that they can use. So, you know, it's been quite successful with local environmental organisations. In Kirklees, there's a group called EPICS, which is environmental projects in Kirklees. We've been doing some joint conservation work with them. We're also doing river water quality and river fly monitoring for the Rivers Trust, the Calder Rivers Trust. So every month we go, there's the River Colne that flows through the middle of Huddersfield. We go there and do sampling, and that, you know, information is being uploaded onto a database. We've worked closely with the Yorkshire Wildlife Trust. I've been to visit Sturley Farm Nature Reserve, which is in Huddersfield, and then we've got an ongoing partnership with River Home Connections. And an exciting thing that we've just started this term, jointly we wrote a funding application, and a local engineering company, through its corporate social responsibility program, they're funding, it's quite a large grant, a sustainable urban drainage scheme project that we're doing on site, and that's a pilot for being rolled out to other schools in the future. So we've been given £3,000, and one of the project workers from River Home Connections has been in several times, and the students are designing rainwater capture and plant devices and planters, which the engineering company is going to build for us, and then we're going to install them in the summer and plant them up. So it's a great opportunity for students to, you know, to gain some practical experience and learn about SUDS. Always looking for opportunities for the students to be involved in youth voice. So again, it was last year, but we contributed to WICA's local nature recovery strategy, and so 12 students put together a youth manifesto for that, and the WICA's used that really extensively in its its consultation. Their plan is going to be published very soon now, but lots of the meetings that they've had, they've used this manifesto that the students produced. And then finally, I've been trying to share what we've been doing. So as Catherine said, I've done some stuff with the Ministry of Eco Education, and I've also joined the Climate Ambassadors Network. And I did some teacher training for secondary science PGCE students at the University of Huddersfield recently. So hopefully there'll be more of that opportunity in the future. So I mean, it was really well received. I think the students really appreciated hearing about what we were doing at the chalk face. So
he's a very busy person, is our Stuart.
I'm very lucky that I'm in a state school to have some time to do it, because I was doing it for a couple of years. Well, I've been doing this stuff for ages, but I'd had a similar role for a couple of years when it was just in my own time, but it has made a real difference. Having some time in the curriculum. It's a real struggle for teachers. There's more, we've got bigger classes and ever increasing demands. There's lots of, you talk to colleagues and they're keen to help, but they just don't have the time or capacity to do so. So
yeah.
I mean, the DFE wanted a sustainability lead in every school by this year or last year, but I think it's 20 or 30% of schools have got one so far, and in lots of them, people aren't paid to do it.
Yeah. As a union, the union is very aware that our green reps are being taken. Sort of the green rep and the sustainability lead is practically the same person in many schools, and we obviously the green reps are wanting to be to lead on sustainability, but it's a slightly different role, isn't it? That's there. A very different role once. But we.
Things like Let's Go Zero and the climate ambassadors, that things have got better for schools. There is more advice available, but I mean, if you look at the climate ambassadors network in Yorkshire, there's a whole list of schools that are still waiting to get one to visit, and it's just so it's definitely an unmet need.
Yes. Indeed. I have just noticed on thing that Dave Douglas is here from New York. He has beamed in, and so I hope you heard some of that, Dave.
Fortunately, he's not beamed in from New York. He's beamed in from Pontefract because the math flight got cancelled. So.
Oh no!
Yeah. So climate change has killed my climate conference.
Oh no!
So yeah, a bit of a nightmare. I was supposed to fly Tuesday, then Monday, then Tuesday, and then it just got cancelled. So yeah, all that. Too much snow.
Yeah, the weather's been really bad over there, hasn't it?
Yeah, 2 foot of snow. I think there's one of us got there. Rhea Wolfson, if you know Rhea, she's from Scotland. I don't know, but she got there on Saturday, and then because there were 200 people flying into New York from all over, and it just got cancelled in the conference at the end because it's just too difficult. So hopefully they'll rearrange it. Hopefully, yeah.
These are the challenges that we are facing.
Yeah. Last time I went, it was 38 degrees last time I went as well. So that was only about 6 of them. Now it's like -10. So yeah, worst snow for 300 years just on the day we wanted to fly out. So not great.
Yes.
Not great.
Not great at all. Excellent. I'll just on sort of Dave's on Stuart's points. I can only say that there are many other things. He's done all sorts of fashion shows and all things, but he's kept it to the stuff that was career related. I know you've. Has anybody got any questions there? I noticed Sam had his hand up a minute ago. I've lost Sam.
I did. I am here, but if anyone wants to go first, that's fine. Well, okay. Well, it's just, that's really unfortunate, Dave. I'm sorry that you missed out on that. That's really fascinating, Stuart. You are doing an enormous amount there. That's quite a list of stuff that I was kind of struggling to jot down that's going on there. And it's great to see that it's kind of they're using expertise that's already there, and that you're doing all that engagement as well as kind of thinking about careers in this as well, or kind of, you know, embedding that within a kind of wider community. Catherine sort of already asked it, but I'm interested in wider engagement. So you touched on it, getting other teachers involved in this and trying to, you know, bring that in. Yeah, I wonder if you could speak more about that, the difficulties or hopefully successes of that, and then also, yeah, community groups or unions as well.
Well, I mean, a lot of the A levels are very content rich. So, you know, for example, in chemistry, we hammer through the course, and if we're lucky, we have 2 weeks at the end to do some revision. So, you know, that's a challenge in lots of the courses. But I mean, there's the geography A level contains quite a lot about climate change, as you'd expect, and but it's very theoretical. I mean, but my colleagues in geography have all done the carbon literacy training, and they said that they learned loads, because, you know, all the things that they teach are about, you know, this is what causes it, but they never think about, you know, potential solutions, or, you know, how, which is so they've been very active in enrichment programs and things. And there are other courses like the core maths course, which we introduced. That's a 1-year course. So we encourage people who are doing science A levels that don't want to do A level maths to study that, and it's very applied. So my colleagues in maths have, you know, they have to do lots about estimation and analysing statistics and things, and one of my colleagues in particular has put quite a lot of effort into using climate data for that, and he uses it in his statistics enrichment for the ones who are doing A level maths. So there are opportunities, and you know, like the politics teacher reordered his teaching program so that he dealt with, there's an element in the course where they look at international relations and treaties and things, and so he reorganized it so it coincides with COP, so he can incorporate that in what he was doing. But I think, you know, I mean, it is it's a successful college, and you know, people who are real experts at teaching A level, and I think there's a bit of reluctance for people to change, and also not much time to incorporate anything else. So that's a challenge. Is you know, they've got a way of teaching the course which works, and trying to get them to alter it is hard, because of, you know, lack of time and you know, also the risk, and also that at the moment it doesn't come up very much in the exams, and it's, you know, it's a focus on teaching what you have to ensure the students do well.
Yeah.
But as I say, I mean, the skills, you know, there's more focus on skills. So there has been a push to get people to make links with business and industry. But as I just said, it's you know, that is a challenge, because it takes time.
Yeah. Jenny wants to come in. Is that okay? Jenny?
Sorry.
It's okay. I just
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, a couple of things really that struck off from that. I mean, we've got an organisation called SCESI in South Yorkshire, which is Schools Climate Education South Yorkshire. And just really to say, I mean, it exists, but it's had a lot of the same problems you've had with capacity, and, you know, sort of actually getting any funding to do, you know, it's been running annual conferences, I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And other people may not have known about that. I was going to just say about what SUDS means, because it's Sustainable Urban Drainage Systems, and that sounds really brilliant, to get the students actually designing the rainwater capture systems at the college. That sounds like a perfect project, really, to get people involved. And another thing that I do a lot with South Yorkshire Climate Alliance, and we were invited to go along to Barnsley College for their careers fair. I can't remember what it was, last year or the year before, which was great, because we engaged with students from lots of different subjects, a lot of business students, and just actually getting them thinking about, so what does this mean for you, and what might it mean for your career, you know. So some quite sort of, not very sort of here's a job kind of quick conversations, but, you know, like sort of getting them, opening the issue up where they perhaps hadn't thought about it very much. And I thought that was potentially a really useful thing to get involved in. And I was wondering whether whether there's any scope with the partnerships to work with like voluntary sector organisations like like our Climate Alliance, I don't know what, or Just Transition Wakefield, that kind of thing, to get students, actually doing some volunteering on those projects. It may be difficult with under 18s, I guess, but they've got brilliant digital skills, for example, which we really lack, and they would learn a lot from kind of working with us to actually provide those kind of skills.
I can definitely look into that. Yeah.
Thank you. Shall I? I'll bring it.
The students do volunteering in other sectors, so that's a good idea.
Yeah, thank you. And then Stuart, the other.
I was just going to ask, Stuart, do you is Greenhead College still focused on A levels, or has the college introduced T levels at all?
No, it is just A levels really. So they're doing some absolutely brilliant stuff at Barnsley, but I think that there is this distinction in post 16 education between the sixth forms and the FE colleges, which do much more vocational stuff. And I think that'd be an area that you're all more familiar with. There is more scope in the vocational courses to make those links, but we are trying within the bounds of what we teach.
Yeah, thanks.
And leading the way on all sorts of that. Thank you very much indeed. That's been really helpful. So thank you. And I get to the pleasure, the eco-educators, of hearing Stuart and where he's up to next, and others. And I regularly think, we good to share this, with other people. So thank you very much for coming in there. Jo, do you want to?
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. That was just amazing amount of work going on. I'm not quite sure. I suppose it'd be interesting discussion in terms of thinking of what this network, how and what we think taking that out in this network is would be best, useful for. There were similar kind of initiatives going on in this university, and I'm sure in others, in relation to embedding sustainability in the curriculum, the challenge of, like you say, busy teaching. There's a very, very similar kind of challenges there, although the university itself, in a sense, the push from the sort of both from the students wanting to learn more, and we've also got kind of slightly different drivers, and in our faculty we've got external sort of standard setting that increasingly those external drivers that we like to say we met these wonderful badges that we have for our programs, which may be to do with professional body accreditations, or they might be to do with just kind of higher education school. So I'm in a business school, so the teaching responsibility in higher education has certain badges you can reach, and so that's sort of a push. But nevertheless, people have the same challenge. The workers on the ground, the teaching staff and the support staff and the technicians that support and the library staff. That's that there's a whole system, isn't it, that supports the front end of teaching. Don't have a spare minute often to be developing these things. So as much as we can do to share resources, share ideas, case studies, connections is super useful. But I'm just sort of thinking about what people feel, and maybe this is just an education conversation. So maybe those of us that are in that sector could have a separate conversation as to what best this network could do. So that's the first observation. Yeah. Second one is, in the work that I've been doing on Just Transition that I mentioned, we've got a conversation with DESNES. So there's this clean jobs, there's this new setup within the Department for Energy and Security and Net Zero, but when we were speaking to them recently, they're interested in us feeding in some of the research that we've been doing on just transition in other countries. But it was interesting talking to them, because they were saying that all other government departments have been tasked to produce a jobs plan Now, I don't really know what that is, and I'm interested to try and speak to people who might know a bit more about that. But presumably that means that the Department for Education is being tasked to think about what are the jobs and skills that are needed in this education sector in order to deliver the kind of climate future that's sort of set within sort of broader ambitions of the government. So again, I don't know, Sam, obviously National TUC, I don't know if you may know more about this area of work, but certainly from, if people are talking about jobs plans, then unions and workers should be part of that conversation. And sorry, that's leaping massively from the things that you've been saying at a really, really fantastic practical level, Stuart. But, if there's scope to then think about, well, how do we change that narrative that things just are pushed onto people expecting to change their working practices? They haven't got time to think about, having lunch, let alone designing a new part of the curriculum. And if it affects kind of terms and conditions, and if green reps are being co-opted by schools because that's the best thing that they've got access to them. These are important conversations, aren't they?
They are indeed. Yeah, they are indeed. And we have to sort of work on what we're going to do to take messages forward and move on. It's what you're talking about with Desnes sounds like the climate jobs books have had a repercussion, and they're thinking, well, we might not like all of the ones in the climate jobs books that were written by the Campaign Against Climate Change, but we better come up with our own plan. Which feels like a productive piece of work, doesn't it, there? So that's a positive.
Yeah, I mean, the Desnes people were hinting that the other departments weren't very far off, progressed in their thinking, which basically I think means that they're not very far at all.
There's more work on there. So that's something that we can be doing as a network. I'm aware of the time, and we did say that we were going to try and be tight on time. So I think perhaps do we move around now for people to update us on things that are that they've got coming up and that we need to be aware of, which was exchanging insights and an update sort of section of the meeting. Be aware as we're doing this, so we can be thinking of our function, and we're also trying to think about how we're best supporting each other. And I'm thinking that this information exchange is part of that, supporting each other a bit. But it might be good to go through there. Yeah, Stuart.
Just a quick question. I mean, is there anything in the TUC that talks about examples of young people who've got jobs in the green sector? I mean, it's providing role models for people that it would be really powerful.
Yeah. And I'm thinking that the work that Dave is doing, who's going to, I introduced everybody else that because you were sending apologies, you're going to speak at the next meeting. But you are doing work on that, aren't you, on the climate jobs sort of a thing? But if you think, is Sam, are you aware of anything?
Yes and no, in that we haven't really made a point about like climate jobs that exist now as like trying to sell them or like this is a good job, like everyone join in. We're more concerned with making the jobs that are to do with the transition and net zero jobs good as they come on stream, so as they get created, because that work is not really necessarily happening. And also kind of taking the best elements of the existing industries and making sure that any good jobs that are there are safeguarded. And so we're sort of greening jobs rather than letting fossil fuel jobs or, I don't know, older jobs be replaced by crappy, modern, clean jobs. Which seems to be the preferred option a lot of the time. It's definitely the preferred option of industry. We're getting quite a lot. I mean, government are on the same page as us in this, but they're not always necessarily putting in the degree of work that we'd like to get those over the line. And those clean energy job plans are a part of that. So it's about making sure that this isn't just, you know, a jobs numbers game like it was under the Tories, whenever they said, you know, we're going to do a thing, this is how many jobs it's going to be created. And we sort of, there was no job quality kind of conditionality there. We're hoping, well, we are working with them to ensure that those are good jobs as well. That's not without challenges, though. Yeah.
They did a whole conference on future-proofing the works, you know, energy change, you know, work, didn't you? I went to a conference about it that the TUC had run.
We did,
November.
yeah, in offshore wind.
Perhaps
To try-
celebrating successful examples would be a way of, you know, promoting your aims and recruiting more people into those industries.
Yes. And I know that one of the things he did a couple of years was to go and look for green jobs, and one of them was, you know, to find, you know, the woolen mill in Dewsbury that still that was, you know, wool, you know, spinning wool that had been grown, you know, on sheep locally and things. Looking for those and the recycling plants and things is challenging, isn't it? Because many of them are non-unionised, which is.
I think that's true, but also it's this kind of slight issue of like green jobs. It's like we don't, as trade unionists, we try not to, because we represent a lot of people with awful jobs who are in industries they don't want to be in, and we have to keep representing them because they're people who are stuck in jobs, and all jobs should be good jobs. And so we don't really want to be in a position of picking like these are the only good jobs, these are the green jobs that everyone should aspire to, and then you know everything else. It needs to be a process of uplifting everyone, right? But it's not to say that it shouldn't be a part in celebrating where we have had success, or where, you know, this is an industry which is providing good high quality jobs. And I think we are doing that a little bit through the media stuff, but it's just not quite not the focus.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. Right, shall we move on to the sort of events that are coming up and things that we might be doing, and so that we can do some updating of people, if that's all right. I am conscious of one or two things. I know that some of us are involved very shortly on March the 14th. The Year of Climate Action has a conference being done by the NEU and Unison and UCU and the Ministry of Eco Education and various other organisations that are thing, and that's in London. So we can say that that's happening, and there will be a green careers discussion on that. I should put it in a chat. Will I find it? No, I'll put it in the WhatsApp group that I might suggest that we might have. So there is it's happening in Regent's School in London, which is about 5 minutes from the King's Cross. It is open to other people, particularly in education, obviously, because it's an education conference, but that is happening. Have any other actions going on for that we've got coming? We're also obviously got the Together March on March the 28th, which, whilst it is focused on making sure we do things together and not separately or not dividing peoples, there is a very clear link, because a lot of the far right people are tending to divide off between migrants and us and whatever else, but they also want to stop boats and stop net zero as a main focus, don't they? So that is as one of the agendas. And Andrea Jenkins did a marvellous one yesterday. If any other people have got other things that they would like to highlight, I'll bring in Stuart.
Yeah, a couple of things. The Yorkshire and Humber Climate Commission are in contact with various district-based networks to try to have a sort of strategic discussion, which reminded me that Sam was were you active? You were involved with the Climate Commission in place of Bill. Now you've got your job has changed and become more national. Is that something that Dave will pick up, or are you still doing that? That's one question. And the other,
so to answer that directly, I am a little bit national, but I am also still a little bit regional, so I am still a commissioner.
That's fair enough. That's good. That's good to know. And the other thing is that in Wakefield, the council has just organised, or last year organised, a research report called the Wakefield Futures Commission, which sort of poses the question, partly because of logistics and partly for other work cultural reasons, the average wage levels in the district are particularly low, and the percentage of logistics-based jobs in the district are particularly high. And so they were asking the question, how do we up the skill level, up the salary level, and up the job security level across the district, which is a really important question to ask. And they've come up with, and this commission has reported, and I think university colleagues will be pleased to hear that they are saying absolutely there is no room for an additional university in the region. It would simply destabilize everything else and probably not work. They're looking for an education provision that really focuses more on the existing workforce to raise the skill level and the job level of the existing workforce, which I think is really, really important and an important part of the just transition. So we haven't, even the Net Zero Partnership hasn't been involved. We have forced our nose into the conversation, but it's going to be a hard work because the officers running that program don't really get green stuff. But I think we do have an alignment on the logistics industry because there's a huge amount of work to do in making that whole industry more sustainable or less damaging. So it's very, very early stages, but we may well be wanting to come back to get the voice of the logistics unions. We obviously have access to RMT Roads Division through our Trades Council, but that's a relatively small part of the industry. So I think there will be future conversations, but it will be quite a long-term project, I think. So I'm just flagging it up to Dave and Sam in particular. I can see Joe making notes as well. So there's conversations to be had, and it is quite interesting, and I'm more than happy to share the report. It is in public domain.
Have other people got things that they want to mention? We could
Something
also
I
invite.
can mention, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
It's not an event, but it is a project that, or an organisation that's kicking off. It's called Powering South Yorkshire, and it's focusing on private rented housing and organising with tenants to get more enforcement of particularly energy standards, but other housing related standards, because there's a lot of the time the rules are there but the councils don't have the capacity to enforce it or aren't enforcing, but also to kind of do some kind of bottom-up work on what new policies, what new kinds of regulation are needed to actually enable tenants to have warm, safe homes, affordable homes in the private rented sector. And yeah, the South Yorkshire Climate Alliance are working with the New Economics Foundation and the Centre for Local Economic Strategies on that ongoing. So there's a kind of organisation building across South Yorkshire, hoping to get some funding from the big lottery to actually employ some staff on that.
Sounds very interesting. Thank you for that. That sounds very, very interesting. All that fuel poverty action sort of stuff. That's the warm homes grant projects. Excellent.
Yeah, and so much of the kind of warm home stuff tends to leave out that particular private rented sector, which is where some of the worst stuff is going on, really.
Yes, excellent. Dave had his hand up, and then
yeah, just I did another webinar at lunch by Climate Emergency UK, which was about difficult conversations on climate, which was actually really good. But picking up where you left off on when you were speaking, they had a guy called Edward de Key on, who's been doing a piece of work on what Reform's been doing and saying on climate change, and that was really quite useful in terms of dealing with them. But so was the conversation stuff. They had someone called Claire Brown from Larger Us, and she was very good. If there's a recording, I'll see if I can share it, because it's well worth listening to.
Thank you very much indeed. That's great. It's always good. And then shall we, Joe?
Yeah, just I've mentioned this before, but the university has produced, so between myself, colleagues, in the environment faculty, a course that's now on an open, well, it's not usually open, but the university's paid for it to be open. There's a platform called Future Learn, and I'll just show you if I can work out how to show you something here. So it's called Climate Action, Tackling the Climate Crisis for a Better World. It reminded me what you were saying, Dave. One of the modules is around communication. So just to say that this is now available free globally to anybody that wants to join. But obviously it's a self-directed, the way that it is on the Future Learn platform, it's a self-directed, takes basically people about 3 or 4 hours a week over 4 weeks to work through all of the materials. But there are some really great materials in there, and we've got over 6,500 people that have signed up to it, and we do a little bit of moderation of the people that are on it, but we've got this sort of open offer of, could we, I'll put the link in there, absolutely, I'll put the link in the chat, but could we or should we use these as resources to offer to unions in the region, or to and other parts of other networks, the people that we're kind of connected to, if people would think that would be useful. And we designed that because we did the carbon literacy training, which we thought was, we really, really got a lot out of doing the carbon literacy training here. Mm-hmm. But that was a good starting point. But in a sense, the Future Learn thing was sort of a next step from that, in terms of thinking about some of the politics of action around climate action. Yeah.
That's very
helpful.
Happy
to have a more detailed conversation with that, either in this network or with anybody else that'd be interested to do it. But I'll grab the link.
That feels like it could be a useful thing for people, doesn't it? And we can share that on with links in thing. I shall. Any other things? I'll mention with banners, just because I have to, because I'm on the with banners committee, and it's on the 9th of May, which is the day after the local elections, and it's all out in Wakefield. So we do want as many people as possible on the main day. And we will, and there will be some climatey themed stuff going on. But it is an anniversary of the general strike at the same time, so that will also be mentioned. Sam, you're going to come in. I'm conscious that we need to be thinking of functions, and then I'm going to mention the possibility of WhatsApp group as well, but I'll let you come in next.
That's fine. It was just to come back on the two things. It was come back on the Future Learn thing. We did circulate that amongst, it was a while ago, amongst folks, but I wonder if actually we could suggest that a load of people do it in tandem. So I wonder if that's something we could host or discuss more, Catherine, at a late point. But the other thing was the slightly more substantive thing, which is that there is a TUC website now, the Year of Trade Union Climate Action website, which brings together a whole bunch of resources during this year of Trade Union Climate Action, and there's also an events page in there which is worth checking out periodically to see what events have been put up. So I don't know what's on there at the moment actually, but worth checking out. So if you just do like TUC Climate, it will come up in your search provider. And
if you do look on there, Sam and the team have produced, there are so many links on there. It is totally impressive. And and it all works, which I find quite remarkable as well. When I did the Green Reps training for the NEU in October, and we were, they were stunned at just how many things were there and available. So it is a really good set of resources, and it was just on the email. It was in the link, wasn't it, that you sent out for this meeting? So there is, I clicked from there to that lot just to see what there is. So there is a lot in there. Our meetings have, we have done quite a lot of sharing of resources and sharing, updates and things. I think that's quite a useful function of it, of the meeting. So I would want to keep that sharing function. Would the proposal of a sort of study group or whatever, would that be useful? Do we ask if people would like to do that and create a bit of a study group? We did. That might be something that we can open up to people with your Future Learn thing, and still they don't have to do it within the study but it is one of those notions. It might be good to have a meeting that mentions it, particularly invites people to talk about the Future Learn thing again, and then it would be a good thing to do. Yeah. Sam, we also wanted to ask people's opinion, didn't we, about what we should be talking about in the regional TUC. And we haven't got lots of time, but it would be good to have a bit of a think about that, wouldn't it? Do you want to say something about that meeting?
Yeah, so we've got the regional North East Yorkshire and Humber conference coming up at some point in March.
21st.
And we've got a fringe event as part of that, one lunchtime, at which we've got Sarah Woolley, who's the General Secretary of BFAWU, the Bakers Union, and me and Catherine on the panel at the moment. And so we can say whatever we want to say. It's on the theme of Year of Trade Union Climate Action. And then it's like colon, and then fighting for a worker-led transition. We've got like all the terms in one very long title. But yeah, if it's I guess this moment is to ask if anyone else would want to be involved in that, or if there are any other speakers who would be good to add in at that event.
I'll let people have a think, and you're allowed to put your hand up while I'm speaking. Yeah. Honestly, I'm positive. Go on, yeah. Go on.
Sorry. When was that event, Sam? Sorry.
It's the 20th, 21st, isn't it? Whichever the Saturday is, or is it Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, 21st, 22nd, and so 21st is the date of the fringe of March in Red Hills in Durham. Brilliant setting.
Minus Hall. I was just thinking that the discussion that we've just had, what are good examples? It would be quite good to try, if if there is a jobs plan and they're trying to create a jobs plan, that might be one of those sort of questions that we could be asking as well at the workshop, couldn't we? Or the fringe meeting for people to be thinking of the best examples, so that when Stuart's students are saying, oh, what could I be? What's a good job to do? I don't want to be an accountant or a nuclear arms engineer to bump it. What can they do? We shall come up with these themes and get there. Do we also have to look at, now, is anyone volunteering for that? That is also, Dave, possibility. Do you want any volunteers to email you, Sam? Would that be a good? Yeah. You're allowed to invite. Say, oh, I could say something on that one.
Presumably, you have to be a delegate anyway, because not all of us will be delegated to the regional conference.
I think in theory you probably don't need to be a delegate, really, but yeah. But yeah, leave it with you, and
if anyone comes up, Dave will invite them. Dave Pike will invite them, for that matter. I don't think it'd be Dave. We used to have a Just Transition Network WhatsApp group that didn't get widely used, and so it was sort of closed down. But I have wondered in the interim, while we've been sort of, between meetings, whether it would be a helpful thing. What would people feel? Do you think we should re-establish a WhatsApp group? If you think it would be useful, put your hands up. I can see there's not a lot. I thought it would be a good, useful thing to do. You're all preferring on emails, are you? I know we have plenty of WhatsApp groups, but I just feel there is it's possibly because all these emails go into my NEU email, but there's been so problematic in the last few weeks that I've been spitting at it. All right, no WhatsApp group then. If that's what you're feeling, I won't do a WhatsApp group. Do we need to think about the next meeting and when would be a good time to have the next meeting? We have got a decent number of people, haven't we, here at this point, the 5 o'clock slot? Are we going to try on the 5 o'clock slot? If that's, give it another attempt at that. Does that work? Yeah, at least put your sort of thumb up on that one. Yeah, because the two.
Worth saying that we did get a few apologies as well, with sort of wish I could come about some specific thing, like 5 or 6 of those. So.
It's tea time, isn't it? That's the problem for people. Or if they're travelling home, it's a problem. Yeah. Do we want, and we were talking about quarterly or meetings, weren't we, for this? So it's about May time that we're meeting again.
Yeah.
Probably avoid the bank holiday week in May. Well,
yes,
several of those, isn't there, actually? I meant the later one.
As you can see, I can't actually see in here anymore.
Yeah, it's got dark.
It's really dark where Dave is.
so I'm looking for it. It's all banners held high on the 9th of May. And
there's also the election in that first week of May as well, and we probably want to avoid that.
Yes, because everyone will be out on the street doing all sorts of things or whatever there. So we could go sort of after then, 18th, and then the half-term week for us goes on from the 23rd, I believe. So it could be in the week the 18th. I'm just opening it to people, so any thoughts in particular? Well, we're on a Wednesday. Is the Wednesday a problem?
Some Wednesdays, my union branch meetings is the 3rd Wednesday usually.
I think the 20th will be the 3rd Wednesday then, won't it?
Yeah, I've got something else happening that evening as well.
Yeah, well, let's abandon that one. Do we go for a 21st or the 19th?
I don't mind.
Tuesday the 19th?
Okay.
Shall we just put it in at this time and then see what people we can always take comments, can't we? If it needs changing. If there's something that comes up, Sam, because obviously it depends on you being able to host and start and things, or for Sonia to start it off and then whatever, however it works. You can come back and confirm, but we can think about sometime in May. Is that an appropriate time? Is that what we're working at? Good plan to have the next meeting planned, isn't it? Is there anything else that we should be mention or you'd like to share before we finish? Yes.
No, it's really useful.
Yeah, and if we will put, well, Dave, if you would like to talk, you're not going to be able to feedback now, are you? Because you haven't been.
Back about my
yeah.
Hopefully I might have gone back by then, so I don't know. I'm probably going to rearrange it. So it was disappointing, really, because there were some really good speakers. There were some really high-profile speakers from the US there, though. But I think they'll rearrange it. I think it's worth rearranging, So I'll be able to feedback at some point, hopefully.
Yes. We'll work on this, and we'll work on what else we can put into that meeting to make sure that we've got. It's always good to have a speaker of some sort, isn't it, to draw people in. Thank you ever so much. If there's anything else you want to say it now. Otherwise, you can you can go and get your teas. Thank you, everybody, for the.
Thank you,
Thank you.
and thanks especially to Stuart.
Everyone,
for
good to see you all.
Mm.
Welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you very
Thank you,
much
Stuart.
indeed. Thank you.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
soon.
See
Yeah.
you soon.
Bye.
Bye.